Hi everyone, it is Rita with 511 Coaching, and we are back this week in our control series. Last week we did a launch by taking a control freak quiz. And so for those of you that didn't get a chance to take it, or those that you did, let me just remind you what that was like. So the quiz asked 10 questions. And for each question, you chose a number on a 5-point scale to show how accurately you think the statement describes you. 1 was rarely, 2 was seldom, 3 was sometimes, 4 was often, and 5 was very often. Then we added up all 10 scores, and then there was a scale with a description at the end. What I will do is I will put a link in the comment section to my YouTube channel to where you can go back and watch that video to get the questions, and that will also have the scale in there to kind of tell you where you are on the control freak schema. So a few of you were brave enough, and thank you very much for doing that, to share your scores in there and make some comments. And for me, I just think it depends on the day and the situation of how controlling I can be. For instance, one of the questions, and I want to get this right, it says, do you dislike depending on others, accepting help from them, or allowing them to do things for you? Man, I can tell you that on that question, I was a 5 very often. I am not great at asking for help. I have gotten better over the years, that's for sure. But that's always been something that I've wrestled with that is a sign of control, right? And so, but I think what we're going to be talking more about this week is going to be the root of what causes us to want to use control as a tranquilizer, right? And so that generally is anxiety. That is the title for this week. And episode 1 of Control is the tranquilizer for anxiety. So let's just put it out there. Anxiety affects everyone in different ways. Sometimes the feelings of fear and dread just don't go away, or sometimes they get worse over time, right? And so we're going to talk a little bit, actually a lot, about anxiety, who it affects, and give you some tips really quickly on maybe how to manage that. So what is anxiety? Well, I'm sure all of you have experienced it, but maybe you're not sure if it fits into the mold of maybe what you think. Well, let me give you this definition. Anxiety is your body's natural response to stress. Let me say that again. Anxiety is your body's natural response to stress. It's a feeling of fear, apprehension about what's to come. For example, if you are interviewing for a job, like I have a different position that I'm looking at. Maybe interviewing can cause you some stress and some anxiousness. Also, like recording this video for you guys, when I first pressed that red button to record this, I have a lot of apprehension and anxiety of coming across looking good, sounding good, and making sense, right? So there's a lot of stress and anxiety that comes with that, right? And it's nervousness as well. But there's some people that I recognize that have more extreme anxiety feelings, and they last for a longer period of time. And that's more of an anxiety disorder as opposed to ordinary anxiety that you may feel on a day-to-day basis. The one thing that I need for all of you to understand is that it is normal to feel anxious about different things. Again, it's normal to feel anxious about things. It's not fun, but anxiety can have a positive effect where it does motivate us to do better, to work harder, and potentially do a better job. But ordinary anxiety is that pressure, right? It comes and goes. and it doesn't interfere with our everyday life. Now, I do know some of you have more intense feelings, and that can be really debilitating. That type of anxiety can stop you from living your life and doing things that you really enjoy. For instance, I have some friends that they have a fear of elevators, so they will not go anywhere where there's an elevator. They have a fear about crossing the street to where they could get hit by a car or something bad would happen. My mom, when she had finished taking care of my grandmother, had a fear of going outside of the home. So she had some agoraphobia going on. So, that is different than our ordinary anxiety that we feel. So I just want to put that out there. Now, I'm not going to get into the different types of anxiety because there are a lot of them, right? But anxiety is a vital part of, those different disorders. But what I really want to talk about is some symptoms. So some symptoms of this. So just in case you're wondering, do I have anxiety? Do I feel anxious? That some of the symptoms are anxious thoughts or beliefs that can be difficult to control, restlessness, trouble maybe sometimes trouble talking, trouble concentrating, maybe difficulty falling asleep, maybe you're fatigued and tired, maybe you're irritable, maybe you could have unexplained aches and pains. And everybody's symptoms can be completely different from each other. But that's why it's essential to know how anxiety can present itself. I remember years and years ago, I was driving to the airport and I had this tightening in my chest and I didn't know what was going on. And I had these weird thoughts in my head and figured out I was having a panic attack while I was driving to the airport for the first time by myself. Didn't think that I was anxious about it, but that was my first ever panic attack. And it's very scary. Usually the first question we all ask ourselves when we're going through that is, why is this happening and what is causing it to happen? It could be stress. It could be a medical problem, like diabetes or something like that. It could be genetic. There could be abuse that you've had in your life that has caused you to have anxiety, which could be child abuse, substance abuse, different things like that. There's also 3 different types of categories of anxiety and of the treatment and anxiety. Lots of different types of anxieties, but as far as the treatment, there's psychotherapy, there's medication, and then there's what they call complemental health techniques. And that's really what I do as a life coach. If you recall, I did mention earlier that anxiety is a response to the way we feel about ourselves or different situations in our lives. And that can be a response when we feel out of control. That's why we started out talking about control, or even fearful. So what I do as a life coach is to focus on your thoughts. If we look at things in different ways and understand what is going on that is heightening our levels of stress or fear or anxiety, we can learn to respond to things differently. And then our thoughts will change our feelings, which then will change our behavior. Most of the time that can be very difficult to do on our own, and it's great to have a partner that can help guide us through. So my role as a life coach is to ask you really good questions, probing questions, and to encourage you to dig beneath the surface of your thoughts and beliefs, and help you understand maybe where you have some blockages or some obstacles that's stopping you from achieving what you want to do, and maybe the well-being that you've always wanted to have. I wholeheartedly believe that if you change those thoughts, that you can change your future. And that's why I did title this episode that control is the tranquilizer for anxiety. We know that tranquilizers don't solve the root. They numb us. They get rid of the pain. They get rid of the feeling behind it. And so control in different situations of what was talked about in that quiz can tranquilize that anxiety, can tamp it down. But we need to get to the root cause of that so we can be better, so we cannot have that fear and that stress consistently coming back. Just like you, I'm a work in progress. All of my experiences after all the years that I've been on this earth has made me who I am. And I'm here to tell you that if you do the work, I do have my own life coach as well. If you do the work and you put time and effort into yourself, which is so important, then things can get better. And you can make changes in your life that's going to bring about the most joy and impact to you. So I want to keep this shorter because I do know that we are all busy, and I don't want to cause you any stress or anxiety of watching this video and not doing something. But if you want to know more, I would love to chat with you. So I will put a link in the comments as well, that where you can actually schedule a complimentary consultation with me, so that we can talk more one-on-one and see if this could be something that could potentially help you with life coaching. And I also want to take a moment to put something as a follow-up in from tonight's Control is a Tranquilizer of Anxiety. I want to put a quote in the bottom, and I would like to hopefully have some discussion around it. So take a look in the comments, and I'm going to type up that discussion question in the bottom. So that is it for me tonight. So otherwise, as you go through and you check out my YouTube link from last week and you look at the discussion question, tune in next week for episode 2, because we're going to be talking about 4 things that controlling people tend to fear. That should be exciting, right? So have a great night, you guys. And this is Rita with 511 Coaching, your friend that will help you unstick where you're stuck. Have a good one.